am 74 years old, and I sit in this chair every single day, waiting for someone who isn't coming back. That's not poetry. That's not some line I rehearse to sound wise for you. That is my life. Every morning, every afternoon, every evening that bleeds into a night so quiet I can hear my own heartbeat and wish I couldn't. There's a rocking chair by the window in my living room, old oak, handmade. My wife picked it out at a flea market 30-some years ago, back when we still did things like that together, back when Saturdays meant something. I'm sitting in it right now, and my hands are resting on the armrests, and my fingers are tracing grooves in the wood that I didn't wear down alone. She sat here too, right beside me, in her own little way, leaning into the left armrest while I leaned into the right. The wood remembers her. It's worn smooth on her side. I can feel the ghost of her elbow if I close my eyes long enough. The morning light comes through this window and it catches the dust floating through the air, and I watch it drift, and I realize that dust has more company than I do. It dances with itself. I just sit here. If you're watching this, if you clicked on this and you're still here, I need you to understand something before I go any further. You still have time. I didn't. I ran out and I didn't even hear the clock ticking until the room went silent. So don't you dare scroll past this. Not yet. Give me 10 minutes. I'll give you the truth that cost me everything. Let me take you back. Because I wasn't always this man. I wasn't always sitting in an empty room talking to strangers on the internet, because there's no one left in my life to hear me. I was somebody. Oh, I was really somebody. Back in the 80s, early 90s, I was climbing, fast. Corner office by 32. Vice President of Operations by 38. I wore suits that cost more than most people's rent, and I walked into boardrooms like I owned the air in them. And the sound of that life, I can still hear it. Phones ringing, heels clicking on marble floors, the low hum of fluorescent lights buzzing above a conference table where I made decisions that moved millions. That sound was my music. That was my symphony. And I was addicted to it. My wife, Margaret, she asked me once to come home early. Just once. Our daughter, Claire, was 7. She had a recital, some little school thing, a spring concert where she was playing a daisy in a garden. Margaret called me at the office, and I could hear it in her voice, that careful, practiced tone she used when she didn't want to sound like she was begging. "Can you try to make it tonight? She keeps asking if Daddy's coming." You know what I heard? I heard weakness. I heard a distraction. I heard something small trying to pull me away from something big. I sent flowers, a big bouquet to the school, with a card that said, "Daddy's so proud of you, sweetheart." I thought that was enough. I really did. I thought the flowers said what I couldn't be there to say. I thought providing was the same as loving. I told myself, they'll understand. One day, when the house is paid off, when the portfolio's fat, when I can retire early and give them the world, they'll look back and they'll thank me. They'll say, "He did it all for us." That was the lie. That was the rotten, poison lie I swallowed every single day and called it medicine. Success tasted like single malt scotch at 11 o'clock at night, in an office that smelled like leather chairs and ambition, and I loved that taste. I loved it more than bath time with my daughter. I loved it more than sitting on the porch with my wife, watching the fireflies come out in June. I loved it more than any of the things that were quietly, slowly, irreversibly disappearing from my life while I wasn't looking. Because here's what nobody tells you about climbing. You don't hear the people below you stop cheering. You don't hear them walk away. You just keep going up. And one day you get to the top, and you look down, and there's no one there. Not a soul. Just the echo of your own breathing, bouncing off the walls of everything you built, and no one to share it with. Now let me tell you about the night that broke my life in half. I need you to hear this part clearly, because this is the part I replay every single day in this chair, and it never gets softer, it never fades, it just sits in my chest like a stone I can't cough up. It was a Tuesday in November. I remember it was Tuesday because I'd had a board meeting that ran long, and I was annoyed about it. Annoyed, like that mattered. Like anything that happened in that glass building ever mattered, compared to what was waiting for me at home. I pulled into the driveway around 9:30. The porch light was on, which was normal, but the kitchen light was off, and that wasn't normal. Margaret always left the kitchen light on when she was waiting up for me. It was her quiet little signal. The light's on. I'm still here. I'm still waiting. Come find me. That night, the kitchen was dark. I walked in through the side door. I could smell food, roast chicken, rosemary, the kind of meal she made when she was trying, when she wanted the evening to mean something. But the food was cold. The plates were set, 2 of them, with the nice napkins, the cloth ones we only used when it was supposed to be a good night. The candles on the table had been lit at some point and had burned down to nothing. Little pools of white wax hardened on the tablecloth, like tears that gave up falling. She'd waited for me. She'd cooked. She'd set the table. She'd lit candles. And I was in a boardroom, arguing about quarterly projections, while the woman I married sat alone, watching the wax melt down to nothing. I found her in the living room. She was standing next to the rocking chair, our chair, and her coat was on. Her suitcase, I noticed it then, was already by the front door. Not a big suitcase, not the kind you take when you're making a scene, a small one, practical. Like she'd thought about this for a long time and only packed what she truly needed. The house was so quiet, I could hear the kitchen faucet dripping 2 rooms away. That tiny rhythmic tap against stainless steel. It sounded like a countdown I didn't know had already reached 0. Margaret looked at me, and here's what destroyed me. She wasn't crying. There was no anger on her face. No trembling lip, no red eyes, no fight left in her expression. She just looked finished, like a book that had reached its last page and there was nothing left to write. She said 6 words, 6 words that I hear every single night when I close my eyes. I don't hate you. I just don't know you anymore. Not I'm leaving you. Not how could you do this to us. Nothing loud. Nothing dramatic, just the quiet, factual observation of a woman who had spent 23 years married to a stranger and finally admitted it out loud. She touched the rocking chair on her way past it, just her fingertips on the armrest, her side, the left side, like she was saying goodbye to it, like the chair deserved a farewell and I didn't. The front door closed behind her with a soft click, not a slam. A slam I could have argued with. A slam has anger in it, and anger means someone still cares. A click is final. A click is someone who already grieved you while you were still alive. I stood there in that hallway for I don't know how long. 10 minutes? An hour. Time doesn't work right when your life is ending and your body hasn't caught up yet. Then I walked to the rocking chair and I sat down. And it creaked, the same creak it always made. But it sounded different that night, hollow, like the chair knew something had been taken from it, like the wood itself was asking where she went. I didn't cry. I didn't call her. I didn't chase her down the driveway or beg her to come back. I just sat there and rocked, and I realized that my daughter, Claire, I'd already stopped calling 3 months before, and I hadn't even noticed. I hadn't noticed my own child's silence. What kind of man doesn't notice that? I'll tell you what kind. The kind who's sitting in this chair right now, telling you this story because there's no one else left to tell it to. That was 11 years ago. Let me tell you what my life looks like now since you're here. Since you're listening to an old man who has nothing left but words and the time to say them. I wake up every morning at 6, not because I have anywhere to be, but because my body still thinks there's something to rush toward. There isn't. I make coffee, 1 cup. I pour it into the same mug I've used for years. It's a white mug with nothing on it. Margaret took the ones with the funny sayings on them. I don't blame her. I get the paper from the porch and I bring it back to the kitchen and I read it. Every section, even the parts I don't care about, because reading takes time, and time is the thing I have the most of now and the least use for. Then I come to this chair and I sit and I rock and I look out this window. You know what I see? I see the Hendersons across the street. Dave Henderson walks his wife to her car every morning and he kisses her on the forehead before she drives off. Every morning. I see the Munoz family 2 doors down, the kids tumbling out the front door with backpacks dragging on the ground, and their mother yelling something about lunches, and all of it is so loud and so alive and so ordinary that it makes my chest physically ache. They're living the life I threw away, right there, 30 feet from my window. This chair has 2 worn spots on the armrests, mine on the right, where I'm sitting now, hers on the left. I run my thumb over her side sometimes. The wood is smooth as glass there. She wore it down over years of sitting with me on Sunday mornings, back when Sunday mornings were something I bothered to show up for. That smooth patch of wood is the only proof I have that someone once chose to sit beside me. And that proof is getting harder to feel every year. The wood doesn't hold warmth. Wood doesn't remember people the way people should remember each other. Last Christmas I called Claire. I sat in this chair and I dialed her number, and it rang once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6 times. Then voicemail. Her voice, cheerful, recorded, a version of my daughter that talks to everyone except me. I didn't leave a message. What would I say? It's your father, the man who sent flowers instead of showing up. It's your father, the man who chose spreadsheets over your childhood. The phone sat in my lap for an hour after that. The screen went dark. The house smelled like wood polish and cold air, the way empty places smell when no one's been cooking, when no one's been living in them, just existing. This chair creaks when I rock, and it sounds like a metronome now, back and forth, tick, 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 counting down whatever time I've got left. And the thing about a metronome is it doesn't care what song you're playing, it just keeps counting. It doesn't care that you're alone. It doesn't care that you wasted the melody. Now, listen to me. I'm not talking to the air anymore. I'm talking to you, directly. You, right there, with your phone in your hand or your laptop open, sitting in some room where someone who loves you is probably nearby, probably in the next room, probably waiting for you to put the screen down and look at them. You think you're building something. Let me tell you what you're actually doing. You're demolishing something, brick by brick. Every late night you choose, every dinner you miss, every time you say, in a minute, and the minute turns into a month, and the month turns into a year, and the year turns into the rest of your miserable life, sitting alone in a chair by a window. Go home tonight. Go home and sit with them. not near them, with them. There's a difference, and if you don't know what that difference is, you're already in more trouble than you think. Put your phone face down on the table. Look at the person across from you. Ask them something you don't already know the answer to. And then, this is the important part, actually listen. Listen like their answer matters more than anything your boss ever said to you, because it does. It matters more than any of it. This chair doesn't care about your job title. Your promotion won't visit you on Christmas. Your corner office won't call to check if you're eating enough. No one, and I mean no one, ever held a promotion's hand while they died. I know, because I'll die in this chair. Probably on a Tuesday. Probably with the window light coming in and the dust floating through the air, and no one to notice I've stopped rocking. Don't you dare end up like me. You hear me? Don't you dare. You still have time. Use it. Use it right now, before the creak of your chair is the only voice left in your house.